So we're gonna be making a note of what if Naruto was a sex Hokage? Well, not what if he was a sex Hokage, but what if hold on, let me turn it off. Right? Not if what if he was a sex Hokage? Just what if he was? What if every girl was attracted to Naruto? Yeah. Or at least the girls that I want to be attracted to him. Right? Alright, first girl. I'm gonna just say name off the girls first. Sakura. Hey, don't judge, bro. Don't judge. Next one is Tsunade. Okay, I gotta get that one in there. Then Hinata. Hinabi has to be in there too. Karin. I don't need this one. It was 40 pictures, 49 pictures in here at first. Kushina. Don't ask why. Sadara. This. She has to be in there. I'm sorry. We don't need this one either. Alright. So these are all the mains. I don't know who the main is gonna be. But what I do know is this is gonna be a freaky what if. Ooh, okay. Alright. Yeah, okay. Ooh, alright, yeah, okay. So I'm probably gonna name this what if Naruto. Yeah, what if all the girls was attracted to Naruto / what if Naruto was a sex Hokage? And I'm sorry for people who don't like Naruto Kushina ships, but do I care? I honestly don't. Like, get good. I don't care. But without further ado, I'm just gonna keep scrolling. So if y'all like a picture, I'm just gonna keep scrolling. Naruto says, actually no. We start off at his birth. Kushina's, I forgot. I don't know. I don't know how old she was in canon. But I'm gonna she's 18. Hey, don't judge. It has to be like this. It has to, because I can't make a 40-year-old wonderful. That's Tsunade. But hey, actually no, she's 30. Wait, let me do the math real quick. 12. What's 18 times 18 is 6. I don't know. It's somewhere near. It's touchable. 18 times 18. Or 18. Yeah, 18 plus 18 is 6. 30. 36 is 16. 36. Yeah, I think it's 36. She has him at 18. Like I said at first. I knew my math is correct. No, I'm trying to double check this. Alright. Minato's 20. As Minato gets killed. Actually, let me slow down. Minato says, actually, yeah. No, Naruto gets born at 20. She's 20. Kushina is 21. Minato's 23. Damn, she fine. Let me just get back into this. 5 minutes, I really haven't even started talking yet. Or 4 minutes, whatever. Naruto says, he's not born. Minato, this shit pissed me off a lot. Minato says, he says, Kushina, you're about to give birth. As she says, yes, as her water breaks. As Naruto, Obito doesn't come in this one. You can't have that. Just, the only thing that happens is the seal. The seal gets super weak and Naruto comes out. And she starts looking like a dead monster. Like, I'm so sorry for Kushina, but she looked like she was smoking so much crack when the Naruto's got extracted from her. I'm sorry. Let me get back into it. As the nine tails start growing out of her, she doesn't look like so much. She's smoking so much crack on this one. She looks like she just passes out. Josh. Minato, his dumb ass. Or he's not really dumb. Let me get back into this. Minato solos, or at least let me see. He tries to solo the nine tails. As the nine tails. Yeah, actually no. Nine tails is a female in this. Yeah. Nine tails is a female. Naruto is gonna have actually let me get rid of this part first. As Minato's battling the Nine Tails or Kurama, as Naruto's from Gamabunta, as he says, "What is it, Minato?" As he sees the Nine Tails, he says, "Oh." As he says, "Well, we cannot waste any time. We have to protect the village." As he summons, no, Gamakichi's not even alive, I don't think. He summons, Minato, no, the Hokage nigga the third Hokage comes, and he summons the monkey dude. I'm pretty sure that's summoning the monkey. As he says, he came. He's finally come home. As he says, yeah, he has. As Minato said, as Minato says, we will defeat you, Nine Tails. As the Nine Tail roars and charges up a tail beast bomb, heading directly for the village, or pointing at the village. As he shoots that motherfucker. As Minato, he says Gamabunta now. As Gamabunta jumps in front of the tail beast bomb, and Gamabunta survives, but Minato, I'm sorry, not so much for him. Naruto says, you know what? I'm gonna find a better name for this. What if it's gonna be good? It's gonna be good. Let me similar. No, I'm not even gonna say anything else. Let me just get started. He says, the third Hokage says no, as he sees Minato's body falling as it hits the ground and thumps. As he says, Minato says, tell Kushina, and I love him. As he says, tell who you love him. He says, Kushina and your baby, what's your baby's name? As he says, as he dies. As he says, damn it. As Jiraiya is gone in this one. I'm sorry for my Jiraiya lovers. I love him too, but this has to be plucked. As Jiraiya has to die. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Jiraiya comes to the village as he sees that whatchamacallit is dead. As he gets angry, as he summons, he goes master Toad Sage, as he gets the other Toad, the too many niggas on him. As he says, he looks at what's the nigga name? The third Hokage nigga name. He looks at him and he says, we must destroy this Nine Tails. As we see baby Naruto. Naruto, he never made it to the crib with Kushina. Minato sees a black-haired boy. Jiraiya sees a black-haired boy. And he says, that's Naruto? Actually, no. Yeah, he says, that's Naruto. Why is his hair black? And she said, I just have his shoulders, so I know that he is touchable. So but what's that name? He says, yeah. He says, why is his hair black? As he says, as he says, the third Hokage, I forgot his name, sorry. The third Hokage says, I don't know. As they see the Nine Tails rush them. As he says, as they see the Nine Tails rush them, they say the Nine Tails rush him, and they say, he's coming. As Jiraiya turns Master Sage mode. As the too many frogs appear on his shoulders. As he said, as they both say, Master Jiraiya, what is it you need? Nah, the old nigga says that. As the woman says, yes, what is it, Master Jiraiya? As he says, oh, the Nine Tails. As they start fighting the Nine Tails. As they start fighting the Nine Tails, Jiraiya dies in the process. As Kushina wakes up, see Naruto not there. He says, the third Hokage says, I have to do this. As he says, he dismantles. As he gets the thingy majiggers, the seals, yeah. He seals the Nine Tails in Naruto. As he seals the Nine Tails in Naruto. Kushina runs out, seeing this, and she says no. As the Nine Tails pierces the shit out of, what's that nigga name? The old man, the third Hokage. He's not old in this one, but yeah, he pierces the shit out of the third Hokage. But basically he says, Naruto, her name is Kushina, damn it. Kushina says, Naruto, no! As she screams no. As we see that Naruto just got the Nine Tails sealed in him. I was gonna say put in him, but that was gonna sound weird. But yeah, so Naruto got this Nine Tails sealed inside of him. As what's her name? Kushina. Yeah, Kushina. As she sees the old man dies. As she screams, picks up Naruto, and she says, no. Why? As the Nine Tails is sealed inside of him. As she says, I can't let anyone find out about this. Oh, that's gonna fall. She says, I can't let anyone find out about this shit. Yeah. So Naruto says, Minato, his name is not me. Minato's fucking dead. Kushina picks up Naruto and runs to the Uzumaki compound. As she says, Naruto, as she says, Naruto, I didn't mean for this to happen. You grow up fatherless. As she says, I didn't want this to happen to you. I'm sorry. As she let me read this. As she kisses his forehead. Huh? As she kisses his forehead. Oh, it's okay. Yeah, she kisses his forehead and she says, I'm sorry, Naruto. As Naruto starts crying. As Naruto starts crying, he says, Kushina says, I know. As time skip by like 12 years. Time skip by a year, by like 12 years. Yeah, Sasuke was like 12 years. And like, let me fucking go. Time skip 12 years, and Naruto, Naruto. Naruto says, mommy, mommy. Well, he says, ma. And she says, what is it? And she says, can you tell me another story about dad? As she chokes and says, yeah. As she pats his head. She pats his head and says, no, yeah. She pats his head and says, okay, Naruto. As Naruto says, I'm not a baby anymore. You don't have to pat my head. As she says, I know, it's just... As he says, it's just what mom. As she says, nothing. As she says, she says, come sit down. I'll tell you a story. As Naruto says, okay, but you have to give me a new one. I don't want the same stories over and over again. As she says, no, okay. She says, okay. As she says, okay. Naruto says, he says, mother. He says, mother. So that's how he says. So that's how he became the the thing of the leaf, the yellow flash of the leaf. And she says, yeah. As Naruto says, that's cool. As Kushino says, yeah. Yeah. Yep. Naruto, trying to skip a couple years. 2 years to be exact. Wait. Yeah, 2 years. Naruto says Sakura-chan. And she says, what, Naruto? Actually, no. She says, what is it, Naruto? He says, would you like to go out with me? And she says, I would, but my dad won't let me go out with anyone yet. He says I have to find the right one. As he sighs and says, well, it can be secret. As he gets close to her face. As she says, okay. As she kisses her. They're 14. Yeah. He kisses her. And Naruto, he kisses her, and Kakashi says, looks like you, he says, young love. As if he says young love. As they stop kissing immediately, and to hear someone's voice come around the corner. Sasuke. He says there's no time for relationships. You have to get trained. He says you have to train to get harder, or you have to train to get stronger. As Naruto says, shut up, Sasuke. and he smacks Sasuke. As Kakashi says, "What the hell, Naruto?" And he says, he says, he says, Naruto, why did you do that? As Naruto says, because he's always talking like he knows everybody, or he knows that he can beat me when he knows he can't. I'm tired of it. As Kakashi says, that still wasn't a reason for you to hit him. As she said, as Kakashi, Tsunade, yeah, Tsunade is that no, she's not. The Hokage right now, it's a random. Alright. It's random. Yeah. So Naruto says, he says, let's go talk to the Hokage about this. As Sasuke gets up and activates his one-to-one Sharingan. As Kakashi says, no, everyone needs to calm down. As he says, no, we need to go take this to the Hokage since he thinks he can beat me so much. As he says, he says, Sakura, what do you think? Who do you think will win in the fight? As she says, I think that Naruto would win. Kakashi said that. No, Naruto said that. And he says, I think you would win, Naruto. As he says, thank you. He says, well, thank you. Someone believed in me. As he looks at Kakashi, and then Sasuke. As Sasuke says, I hate you. Damn you, Naruto. I hope you die. As Naruto says, and who's gonna be the one to kill me? You? And he says, no. He says, as he looks at Naruto. No, yeah, he looks at Naruto, and he rushes him. As Naruto facepalm, Naruto gets rushed by Sasuke. As he grabs Sasuke's collar and slams him on the ground. As he says, don't test me. You're just a weakling. As he says, remember, weaklings can defeat their clan members. As he laughs and says, do you remember how Itachi did your clan? As Kakashi says, Naruto, do not bring that up. How do you know about that? As he says, well, he has no one else. As Sasuke says, you don't either. As Naruto says, I have my mom, and that's all I need. As Naruto says, who cares? Sasuke says, who cares about your mom? As Naruto smacks him, and he says, Sasuke, as he gets smacked, he says, Kakashi Sensei, are you gonna do something? As he says, we're going to the Hokage. I just can't deal with this trauma anymore. As Naruto says, as he walks into the Hokage office, they knocked first, of course. It'd be disrespectful not to. Naruto says, hey, Hokage-sama. As he says, what is it, young Naruto? As he says, could you please tell this this low life, no family Uzumaki brat that I'm stronger than him. I mean, Uchiha brat that I'm stronger than him. As as uh uh, uh as 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 he says Naruto, he's the new Uchiha. He says one of the strongest clans to ever live. As he says, yeah, but guess what? As he says, what Naruto? His clan is dead. Meaning, as he's met with the right hook in Sasuke's he's met with the right hook from Sasuke. As Naruto gets up and slams Sasuke on the floor. As he says, Sasuke, get the hell out of here, you're weak. And he says, don't ever put your hands on me again, you filthy Uchiha. I'm not making Naruto a racist like that, like the second Hokage, but just saying. He just doesn't like Sasuke. As Sasuke says, I'm hungry. Sasuke says, he says, so, no, the Hokage says, not in my office. As he says, what do you mean not in your office? As he activates his dojutsu. As he says, like I said, not in my office. As he says, fine. As he says, but Hokage. And he says Hokage. And he says what? As he says, even Sakura-chan thinks I'm stronger than that Uchiha brat. And he looks at Kakashi Sensei and he says, what about you, Kakashi? The Hokage looks at him and says, Kakashi, what is your opinion on this? As Kakashi says, well, with a little bit of training, I think Sasuke could easily defeat Naruto. As Naruto says bullshit, and he's about to hit, he tries to hit Kakashi. As Kakashi leaves and puts him in a headlock. As he says, you little brat, stop it. He says, you little brat, stop it. As Hokage slams his fist down and says, again, not in my office. As Kakashi says, sorry, Hokage. As he says, Naruto. He says, I want to challenge you too. Since you're so confident, he says, Naruto, since you're so confident about you being stronger than Sasuke. How about you fight? As Naruto says, we fought before and I beat his ass. As he says, no. He looks at him and he says, Sasuke, do you accept this challenge? As he says, yes. As he looks at him and he says, you're gonna lose. As Naruto says, as the Hokage says, shed it, Naruto boy. As he says, oh no, he doesn't say Naruto boy, I'm sorry, that's the Toad Sage stuff. He says, shed it, Naruto. As he's about to talk about the Hokage. As he gets hit by the Hokage. He gets hit by the Hokage. As Naruto says, what was that for? As the Hokage says, I know you're going to talk back to me. I'm not an idiot. As he says, I'm not an idiot. Knowing you with your little smart mouth. As Naruto says, you didn't have to hit me. As the third Hokage says, kid, if you keep being disrespectful, you're gonna get kicked out of this village. As he says, sorry, I didn't mean it. As Naruto says, Naruto says, yeah, Naruto says, or the third Hokage says, yeah. Now, this battle will take tier. I mean, he says this battle will happen in 2 months. Or he says this battle will happen in 3 months. You have 3 months to train. No missions, just pure training. He says, and whichever one of you, he says whenever one of you whichever one of you loses, you're gonna have to do the other's bidding. He says you're gonna have to do the other's bidding forever. As he says, to make sure of this, I will put a seal on you. And make sure that he says to make sure that you don't break it. As he says, what if you tell someone to kill himself? He says the Hokage. Sasuke says, knowing Naruto, he's probably gonna tell me to kill myself. As he says, no, I'm gonna prohibit that. As she says, what do you mean prohibit? As he says, it's not gonna happen. As she says, oh, okay. As he gets Naruto, as he says, Naruto, do you accept? Sasuke, do you accept? As they both say yeah. As he says, Kakashi, you'll train, you train the Uchiha since you have one of the Sharingan. Oh, he said you'll train the Uchiha since you're one of the Sharingan. Since you're one with the Sharingan. Yeah. As Naruto says, as the third Hokage says, Naruto, you're training with your mother. As he says, alright. My mother's pretty strong, so as the third Hokage, the fifth Hokage says, and remember, as they're about to walk out, if you lose, you get a seal placed on you for your whole entire life. As Naruto says, I will win. I promise you. As he looks at Sasuke with determined eyes. Naruto says, he says, Kakashi, you and Sakura will take on these missions. And she says, actually, no, I don't think it would be fair for you, for 3 of you guys, or for some of you to not go on a mission and train, and the rest do go on a mission and train. As Naruto kisses Sakura and says, goodbye, Sakura-chan. As he says, I hope you're praying for me. As she blushes and says, I am Naruto. I hope you win. As Naruto says, Naruto says, sorry for that pause. But Naruto says that he says as he gets home, mother. As she says, yes, what is it, Naruto? As he says, he says the Hokage says that if I whoop, he says if I defeat Sasuke in a battle, then he'll do it. He'll put a seal on him to do whatever I want. As he says, and he says you have to train me. As he says okay. But Naruto, are you sure you wanna fight? He says, are you sure you wanna fight him? As he says, mother, do you think I'm weak? As he says, no, I never said that. I'm just saying, are you sure you wanna fight him? As he says, of course, he's a weakling. As as he says as no. Naruto says Naruto, we just have to skip 3 months. Naruto knows about his Uzumaki chains as he uses his dojutsu. And his form of the Uzumaki chains, basically, it looks like these look like they come out of his back as they like wrap around him. They don't wrap around him, but they don't wrap around him like his body like super tight around him. They like wrap around him a little bit. Yeah. They wrap around him a little bit. As Naruto gets in the field, as he says, where's Sasuke? No. He says, where's the weakling at? It's been 3 months and he's not here. As he says, doesn't look like he's ready. As Naruto laughs. As he says, as he goes to the Hokage office and he says, to see he's not there. Yeah, he goes to the Hokage's office to see he's not there. As Naruto goes back to the field and he sees Sasuke there. As he says, finally, he says, I had to walk all the way to the Hokage office and come back to you finally be here. As he says, shut up, brat. As he activates his 3 Tomoe Sharingan. As Naruto says, ooh, he says, well, I got quite the dojutsu. He says, I got quite the, I don't know. Naruto says, he says, you got quite the dojutsu there. But look at this, as he brings out his Uzumaki chains. As Kakashi says, the Uzumaki chains, impressive. So does the Hokage. As he says it doesn't look like it's completely like, max level, but he says it doesn't look like he has all of the Uzumaki chains, but he has quite a few for a young. He has quite a few for just a little boy. As Naruto says, hey, I heard that, and I'm not a little boy. Get it right. As Kakashi says, oh, I'm sorry. As he says, I'm sorry. No disrespect, Naruto. As he says, yeah, I could probably beat you and the Hokage. Sasuke laughs and he says, honestly, Naruto, you should think a lot of yourself. As he says, shut up and let's fight. 2 minutes later, they get in their positions. The first Hokage says, or third, fourth, fifth Hokage says, now, battle, as they clash. And that's what I'm going to be ending off. 39 minutes, never mind. I don't do no 39 minutes episodes. 40, it gotta be like 45. That's like, yeah, it has to be, because I don't know why. It just has that feeling. Naruto says, as they clash with their I forgot what it was called. It's like a Sabaru the Tanto. Yeah, they clash with the Tanto. As Naruto says, he says, as he looks, Sasuke looks at him with his eyes, and he looks dead in his eyes as he puts him in a genjutsu. As he's in a genjutsu, he says he sees his mother dying. As Naruto falls down, as Sasuke says, looks like I win. As he says, what did he put him in a genjutsu, didn't he? Smart little boy. As he says, as Naruto says, he gets up with Kurama eyes, and the Uzumaki chains, they're not yellow anymore. They turn red. Yeah, they turn red. As they turn like uh Kurama chakra red. As he says, you'll die. As his eyes become red with a slit in them, and he goes two-tail state. As he actually no. He goes the chakra. He goes to the chakra state where the four tails. Yeah, four tails. He goes four tails. I'm pretty sure it's where he turns like super, like where the monster mode. Yeah. As he says. The Hokage says. No, so the Hokage says, "Don't you think this is getting out of hand?" As Kakashi says that. As the Hokage says, "I want to watch this. If it gets out of hand, I'll stop the brat." As he says, "Now, be quiet and let me watch this fight." As as he says, "Okay, Hokage." As Naruto rushes, he shoots. No, actually, no. He doesn't know to. He's under the influence of Kurama chakra, isn't he? He is. I said Melly. I'm just thinking of that other what if. Naruto says. Naruto says. Naruto says. Actually, no. What's this nigga name? Sasuke. Sasuke says. Sasuke says. Damn it! What the hell is that? As he looks at he looks at the Kakashi as he says, "Do it now." As Kakashi, Sasuke nods as he says, "Chidori." Actually, no. Not yet. He activates his curse mark. As he activates his curse mark, he activates the curse mark, and he says, hmm. Actually, no. He activates his curse mark, and he says, "Take this." As he clashes with him, and then he says, as Naruto falls back. Actually, no. He's in his two tails chakra cloak, but he's still under the Kurama influence. Yeah. He says, oh fuck. He says, under the chakra influence of Kurama, says, "I'm gonna kill you." As he says, "You killed my damn mom." And then as he rushes Sasuke and you know he just rushes Sasuke, and he tries to grab him with the chakra arm, as it's not as powerful as his monster state, or it's not as powerful as his monster state or his Kurama, the Sage of Six Black Chakra Kurama. As he says, Naruto says, as he actually Sasuke. Sorry, I keep forgetting everybody's name. Sasuke rushes him with the Chidori, a black Chidori. He rushes him with the black Chidori, because he put this because the curse mark, yeah. He rushes him with the black Chidori, or Chidori Blaze, yeah. And Naruto rushes him with just these hands, as they both clash, and Naruto gets impaled in his stomach with the Chidori Blaze. I know it's not called Chidori Blaze, but hey, man. Yeah, it's not. I don't want to. Oh well, not Sasuke's not gonna be in this for long. He just has some plot to do for someone for Naruto. So yeah, that's all I'm saying. He says Naruto says as he says Naruto he falls down as he goes up to the next chakra state. As we see a red orb, like a red circle, form around Naruto. As the fifth Hokage says, interesting. As he says, this little boy might be powerful. As he says, that Sharingan of his sure strong. As um as Naruto says, he charges up a tail beast bomb. As the as Kurama, I mean not as Kurama, no sorry. Kakashi rushes Naruto and says, I can't let this battle go on any longer. As Sasuke says, no! He says, no, I'm gonna defeat him and prove it. I'm stronger. As as the fifth Hokage says, he's right. Let him prove he's stronger. And they're like out of the Leaf Village in a big field. As the fifth Hokage said that, my man, I'm sorry. And disrespect me not to like that. As even though I already got him dead, I'm gonna get him. No. Alright, so he smokes. I was finna say he smokes Minato, but I didn't mean to say that. Naruto says, Naruto says, he says, Naruto says, as he looks at he actually no. I meant to say that Tsunade, not Tsunade. What is his name? Sasuke. I'm sorry. Sasuke looks at Naruto and sees that the tail beast bomb is coming right at him. As he says, what can I do? As he says, maybe if I do it at the right time, it'll work. Actually, no, not yet. Actually, yeah. He says, I know what I can do. As he says, but I have to plan it perfectly. He says, I have to trick him. As she says, not she, my bad. Sakura's watching this fight too, and she's kind of worried for Naruto. As Naruto says, sorry. Naruto says, as he's hit. Actually, never mind. Sorry. Sasuke groans and says, I'm gonna end this battle quickly. As he flies up in the air, activating his second curse mark. His curse mark with the wings. As he hits them, he flies down with the Chidori. And it's about to hit Naruto. As Naruto looks up and smacks the shit out of Sasuke. As he smacks the shit out of Sasuke, he yells as his arm is cut open. As his arm is cut open, and he says, I think this battle, the fifth Hokage says, this battle is much over. Naruto has won this battle. As the fifth Hokage, Sasuke hears that, Sasuke hears this. Looks like Naruto won this battle. As he gets up quickly and says, no, he hasn't. As he holds his arm and looks at him as he tries to put him in another genjutsu. As Naruto reflects it. Don't tell me how he did that. He did it though. Naruto looks at him as he reflects it. as he says, not yeah, Naruto rushes Sasuke as he yeah, Naruto says Naruto he says Naruto says I'll kill you as he says I'll kill you. Sasuke he's in a genjutsu as he falls down on his back as Naruto he's about to climb in his heart as the fifth Hokage knocks Naruto out, and now he's not under the influence. He's knocked out now. As he says, "Welp, we know who won this." As he releases the genjutsu from Sasuke, the fifth Hokage does that, and he says the fifth Hokage he says Naruto is actually a pretty good fighter. As he says if he trained that Nine Tails and his Uzumaki chains, he would be very, very strong. As he says he could probably rival the first Hokage or even the fourth. And this one, I don't know why people say this, but he said that the first Hokage was stronger than Minato. The fuck? Who the fuck do you like? No, it's not happening, bro. I'm sorry, but Minato's not getting whooped by the first Hokage. And he says he could probably rival the fourth. As he says, isn't the fourth his dad? As he says, yes, it was. As he says, as Kakashi dies, and says, as Sakura runs up to Naruto and says, Naruto, are you okay? As Naruto still passed out. As she says, we need to get him to a hospital. Not thinking about Sasuke. I'm up for the maker fangirl over that nigga. I'm sorry, but man, that was just annoying in canon, bro. He says, the fifth Hokage picks them both up, and he says, Kakashi, body flicker to the hospital with Sakura, please. As he body flickers to the fifth Hokage body flickers to the hospital. As he says, no. Sakura runs into the room as they get there, and she says, "Where's Naruto? Where's Naruto?" As he says, "Oh, little girl, calm down. He says, where are your parents?" As she sees Kakashi behind him and tells the copy ninja. As he says, "Where's Naruto?" As she tells him directions. As they both walk to Naruto, or at least Kakashi walks. She runs to Naruto's room. The fifth Hokage checks on both of them. They both are right. Besides Sasuke with some minor injuries. Damn it, some minor injuries. My God, I'm so sorry. I can't today. I just can't. It's every time I mess up. I can't. Sorry. I'm gonna mess up again. Watch it. I'm gonna mess up again. Let me think about what I'm gonna say real quick. Alright. The fifth Hokage goes to Naruto's room as he just checked on Sasuke. As he says, Naruto, are you okay? As Naruto says, Naruto doesn't respond. He says, looks like he's still passed out. As he's about to exit the door, as soon as he's right there by the door, it gets barged open and his nuts get smacked by the door handle. As the Hokage says, as he looks at the little girl who did it, as he says, damn it, you're so fucking lucky. You're getting, yeah. He says, you're so lucky you're getting. As he looks at Kakashi walking out holding his nuts. As he says, he says, don't. He says, don't talk about it. As he walks away crying and goes back to his Hokage thingy trigger. As Naruto says, that's good. Naruto says, Naruto says, Naruto says that Naruto says that or sorry, not to knock the fuck out. Sakura says Naruto as he opens his eyes a little as he opens them and says he says who the hell won as he tries to get up as his body hurts as Sasuke not Sasuke, sorry. Not Sasuke. What's that name? Naruto. Alright, I'm focused now. I'm promise y'all. I'm gonna try not to mess up. If I do too many mess ups, I'm gonna just grind videos for a whole day. Alright? Grind videos for a whole day. That's what I'm gonna do. Naruto says, nah, if I make 5 more mess ups. Yeah, get 5. If Naruto said I got 4. Naruto actually no, that doesn't count. Fuck that. Still have 5. Naruto says he says who won as he tries to sit up. And as he sits up, his whole body hurts. As he says Kakashi Sensei who won as he holds his side. As he says Sakura says you won Naruto. You beat him up senseless. She says he's too weak to even match your power. You had him flying. As she says, what do you mean? As he says, he flew up in the sky and tried to hit you with a lightning thingy. I don't know what it was called. As Kakashi says, it's called a lightning blade. As she says, he tried to hit you with the lightning blade. As they explain the battle to Naruto, as Naruto, knowing he's victorious, he moves his body to see it's not sore anymore. As he goes to the 5th Hokage, he goes to the 5th Hokage's office. As he says, 5th Hokage, you remember you said whoever wins, he says, you remember you said whoever wins, they can control the other, they can control the loser for the whole entire life. As he says, yeah, Naruto, I remember. As he says, well then, as he's like, are you gonna go do the seal thing? As he says Naruto, I'm gonna go do it. Just be patient. As he says, all right. It's just that brat. He says that brat needs to respect me. As the Hokage says, you're a brat too, under his breath. As he says, what'd you say? As Naruto says, as the 5th says, nothing. As he chuckles. As he says, yeah. Even the 5th scared of me. As he says, Naruto time skip Naruto and Sasuke. I was finna say Tsunade. Call myself there. Naruto and Sasuke says Naruto gets into the room as Sasuke walks in shortly. As he says, I know I lost. Just get this still over with. As he looks down and he says, how am I ever gonna beat Itachi? As actually no, he puts the 5th Hokage puts the seal on him and says, how am I ever gonna, and Naruto's, that was a mess up. He says, Sasuke says, how am I ever gonna beat Itachi? As he, as Naruto says, you can't. As he's about to hit him, as he says stop. As Naruto freezes, Sasuke freezes. That was a mess up, but we're not gonna count it because nobody heard it. He messes up. I mean, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. Let me think about what I'm gonna say before I say it. Sasuke, Naruto messes up. He said, Naruto says freeze, as he freezes. As Sasuke freezes in his place. As Sasuke says, unfreeze me now. As he says, no. Now, shut up and don't say a word. As he says, alright. As he doesn't say, Naruto says, now I can toy with you. As he says, hey, where's Itachi now? As Sasuke, he gets angry and he says, shut up, Naruto. As he says, no, you shut up and just listen to my words. As he says, as Naruto, he starts talking about Itachi and how his clan is, Sasuke's whole clan is dead. As oh shit, sorry. As the fifth Hokage says, Naruto, that's enough. As he looks at the fifth Hokage and he says, shut the hell up. As he's punched he's met with the right hook from the fifth Hokage. As the fifth Hokage says, as Naruto says, he grabs his cheek and Kakashi says, Hokage, don't you think that was a little bit too much? As he says, he looks at him and he says, how would you feel if someone kept talking about your dead clan? As Sasuke starts crying and he says, I hate you, Naruto. I'll kill you one day. As he says, Naruto is about to, he says something about his clan, about Kakashi, about his clan. Yeah, he says something about his clan. As he says, Kakashi says, you're right, fifth. I would hate it if someone talked about my dead clan. Wait. If Kakashi has a clan, right? I'm not sure. As he says, yeah. As he says, Naruto, don't abuse that power. If you do, I'm gonna have to take it away from you. As he says, what? That's not fair. You said forever. As he says, I know, but don't talk about other people's clans. As he smacks him, he hits him with the left smack. As he hits him with the right hook, as Naruto's face gets bruised. As he says, Naruto starts crying. As he says, what was that for? As he cries, he starts crying and crying. As the fifth Hokage says, that was for talking shit about his clan when I told you don't. As Naruto, yeah, Naruto says, he says, I hate you, fifth. Don't ever talk to me again. As he slams the door. As Kakashi runs after him. And he says, Naruto. As he says, shut up, Kakashi. You didn't do anything. You just let him hit me. As Sakura starts crying as she runs after Naruto. As he likes Sakura. He likes Sakura, but he doesn't. Or Sakura likes him. Yeah, matter of fact, yeah. Reverse all that. She asked him out. Nigga. Fuck. And Naruto, she runs to Naruto and hugs him. As she says, Naruto, please don't be angry. As he says, he sighs. She walks away and says, I need to cool off. As he goes home and slams his door. As he slams his door to his room. As Kushina says, Naruto! And she runs in his room to see he's crying. As she comes down, says, Naruto, what is it? Why are you crying? You never cry. As he looks at her with teary eyes. As she says, he hit me. And no one did anything about it. As he says, who hit you? Who the hell hit you? As she says, the fifth. As he says, why did he hit you? Why did he lay his hands on you? As he says, because. As he wipes his tears and says, because I was talking about my rival's dead clan. As she says, it's okay, my baby. It's okay. As Naruto cries in her chest. As what did that happen? I'm gonna call it Naruto when his name really Minma. Oh, shit, that's ouch. He just looks like Minma. He looks like Minma. So he doesn't. He just looks like Minma. He's not actually Minma. So he says Naruto says Naruto cries and cries even more into her chest. As he says, as she says, I know, my baby, it's okay. As she says, every year he looks so much like Minato. As she says, as she thinks about something, as she says, no, he's my son. I can't. As time skip a couple years, when Naruto's 18, Kushina's 36. Yeah, Kushina's 36. As Naruto says, he says, Naruto says, Naruto basically says, he gets home and he says, Mom, I'm home. And she says, oh, Naruto, you're home. As she says, you look so much like your father each and every day. As Naruto says, yeah. He says Minato is ugly. As he says, I look 10 times better. As she smacks him and says, don't say that about him. He says, don't say that about your father. As he says, sorry, but I do look better than him. As he says, you have to admit it. As he starts As he starts, he rubs his cheek, and he says, yeah. As she says, she says, in her head, she thinks about little things about Naruto, and she says, you do look better than your father. 100 times better, but I can't. As she says, Mom. As she says, what is it? As he says, nothing. You're just sitting there. As she laughs and says, well, I'm off. As she says, wait, isn't it your lunch break? Isn't it your lunch break? As she says, Naruto says, yeah, it is. As Kushina says, how about we go get some lunch then? As she says, we haven't been out in a while. Ever since you beat that little boy. As he says, yeah. as Naruto's as Naruto yeah. Naruto says he says, all right, what are we gonna go eat? As she says, wait, I have to get dressed first. Oh yeah. She says, yeah, I have to get dressed first. Just wait here. As Naruto says, all right. Naruto wears. Let me find something. He wears He wears this. He doesn't wear no iron things. He just wears the pant. He just wears the pants with He wears the pants with. He wears the pants with just and just a jacket. He's shirtless under. Hold on. He's shirtless under. And she said, and Kushina walks out in the picture in the bottom right. As she says, all right, Naruto, come on. As he looks at her. And he says, all right. As she says, where's your shirt? As she looks at his abs and blushes. As Naruto doesn't notice. And he looks at one and says, oh, I don't need one. Come on. As he zips up his jacket. As she says, okay. As Kuchina says, well, where do you want to go? As Naruto says, how about, he says, I'll give you the honors. Where do you want to go, Mom? As she says, sweet little boy. As she drives, sorry, she don't drive. It ain't no motherfucking cars. They walk. They fucking walk. They walk to, someplace. Oh no, they walk to some, actually, no. They walk to, a restaurant. Restaurant where they cook in front of you. Yeah. As he says, Naruto says, as he says, as he, as he says, he says, this is actually pretty good, Mom. As she says, thanks. As he says, he takes a piece of her shrimp and starts eating it. As she says, hey, don't do that. As he takes another piece. As she takes a piece of his food. As Naruto just starts eating off of her plate, and she starts eating off of Naruto's plate. As Naruto says, all right, that's enough. I want some of my food. As she chuckles and says, well, stop picking at mine. As him and Sakura has broken up. As she says, you seem down lately. What's going on? As he says, me and Sakura, we're not a thing anymore. As she says, my poor baby. She hugs him and says, what? She says, he says, what did she do to you? And she says, no, 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 mom, calm down. I broke up with her. And she says, what? Why? I thought you loved her. And she says, I do. It's just that I don't know. It didn't feel right. As Naruto says, as Kushina says, oh, well, if it didn't feel right for you, then it's fine, okay? You can find someone that you actually love. He says, thanks, mom. As they leave, Naruto says, I'm pretty stuffed. As she says, yeah, me too. As, as, he chuckles and they get up and leave. As Naruto, as Naruto, Naruto looks up as he looks up as he says, and wait, no, he looks up and he's had his head down, walking with his mom, Kushina. As they get close to the home, an old guy, Naruto, he says, wait, mom, I'll be back. I'll catch up as she starts tying her shoes. As he starts tying his shoes. As the old man walks up on Kushina and gropes her, and she can't really do anything about it because she doesn't have the nine tails anymore. And basically Naruto, she says Naruto, as her hears a muffled Kushina scream. As he rushes to the brat, as he says, "What the hell, mom?" As he says, "Get the hell off my mom." As he pushes Kushina, and he says, as a bunch of goons come out, as he says, "Kid, come on, give her up. We're just gonna have a little fun." As Kushina gets behind Naruto, as Naruto activates his slit-like eyes, and he says, "Back up." As they back up, and he says, "Kid, we don't want any trouble. Come on, just handle the lady." As his head gets knocked off, as it's rolling towards the other ones, towards the other goons. As they say, "What the fuck?" As the old man tries to go with the goons. He's with the goons. He tries to back up, to the back. As he says, "Oh no, you don't." As he activates his Uzumaki chains, and they go pierce the man's stomach. As Naruto, he starts killing them all. As he puts their bodies in the corner of the dark alleyway. As he says, "Come on, mom, we have to get home." As she says, "But Naruto, you." As he says, "Come on." He says, "Come on." As he says, "Damn bastards." As she says, "Naruto, calm down. It's not." As he grabs her arm tighter and start running. As she says, "Oh, Naruto, you're hurting me." As he stops and he says, "Well then, hurry the hell up." As she says, "Sorry." She says, he's pretty angry that his mom just got groped by some old ass man. As he mumbles under his breath. As she says, "Are you okay?" And he says, "Yeah, just come on." As as ooh. As Naruto as Naruto ooh. Naruto says, Naruto says, he says, Naruto gets home as he washes the blood out of his hand and goes to go take a shower. As without Kushina knowing, She walks in there naked. To as she says, as she has her headphones on, as she walks, he opens the shower. As she sees Naruto, as she sees Naruto, Naruto looks over to his right, and Kushina looks at him. As she winds her eyes and takes off her headphones, and says, "Naruto, you're in here?" As he says, "Yeah, I've been in here." As she says, "Well, get out. I'm taking a shower now." As he says, "What the?" All right. As as let's say, cause she had a little sneak peek at something. She had a little sneak peek, and Naruto says, "Damn, mom, took my shower." As he says, "I'll just take another one later." As he says, he says, he says, he says, he says, Naruto says that Naruto says he walks out the shower as he smacks his mom ass. As she says, "Naruto," as he says, "What? You should have never took the shower." As he runs away laughing. As he says, "Oh, that was funny." As she says, "Naruto took that as a joke. I took it seriously." As she starts, "Hey man, hey, 18 plus, remember 2 hours? No, not yet. 18 plus. Well, it's not really 18 plus. It's just that, like, something about to happen." Kushina, she starts thinking about Naruto. As she says, "I want him to touch me like that again." As she starts playing with herself. As Naruto, he goes to go hide in her closet. As he says, "I'm gonna scare her again." As he starts laughing. As he hears the shower turn off. As he says, "Oh shit, she's coming." As he sees Kushina, he sees Kushina, um, um, Naruto, as Kushina who comes out the tub of the shower. Naruto says, "Oh, I'm gonna get her good." As she starts laughing. As she opens the closet with just a towel around herself. She has a towel around her breast, and a towel or titties, and a towel around her and a towel around her no, her lower section, the booty and stuff. You know. As he says, as he jumps out and says, "Ah!" He says, as Kushina screams and smacks him, as both of her towels or her top towel falls off. As Naruto starts looking, as he looks away and says, "Sorry, mom." As she says, "Naruto," as the red habanero activates and beats the shit out of him. As she says, as she says, she says, she says, she says, "Get the hell out of my room." As he hears up and leaves our room. As she grabs her arm or her shoulder and says, she grabs her shoulder and she says, "Naruto." as she as she sighs and she gets in her bed as she says, Minato, our son, I'm sorry, but I have feelings for him. As he says, it's been so long since I had sex and he looks so much better than you. As she says, what am I saying? As she says, what am I saying? As Naruto knocks on her door and says, Mom. As she says, what is it, Naruto? As she says, as he says, she says, what is it, Naruto? As he says, can I come in? As she says, yeah. She says, come in. And don't scare me like that again. As she sighs. As Naruto, as Naruto walks in. And as Naruto says, he says, I want to say sorry for scaring you like that. It was very immature of me. As she says, oh, Naruto, it's fine. Just don't do it again. As he says, alright. As he walks out and says, love you, Mom. As she says, love you too, Naruto. As they go to sleep. Wake up the next day. Naruto is pretty much the strongest in the village. As Naruto says, as Naruto says, Naruto's the strongest. He's stronger than fifth Hokage. He says, "Hey fifth, how much you like me as the sixth Hokage?" As he says, "No, I already have someone in plan for that." As he says, "Who?" He says, "Tsunade Senju." As he says, "A Senju." As he says, "I'm an Uzumaki. I'm stronger than everyone in this village, including you." As the fifth Hokage, the fifth Hokage says, no. As he says, don't even lie. Don't lie. As he sighs and says, you really pissed me off, you know. As he says, yeah, Naruto. He says, ask the sixth. He says, well, I'm no longer the Hokage anymore. The sixth Hokage. He says, Tsunade Senju, you may enter. As Tsunade enters. As he says, as Tsunade instantly attracted to Naruto. As she says, she says, oh wow, this boy has, as, and then she says, oh wow, this little man. She says, oh wow, I don't know what to say. I'm gonna say she says, oh wow, he's actually pretty cute for his age. As Naruto says, well, not Naruto, Naruto says, Naruto says, Naruto says, he says, so you're the sixth Hokage, Tsunade Senju. How about you elect me as the seventh? As he says, what? She says, no, kid, I just became the sixth Hokage. I'm just gonna elect, make a weakling the seventh Hokage because he asked. He says, how about this? If you beat me in a challenge, he says, I'll give you a month to train. If you beat me, I'll make you seventh Hokage. As he looks at the sixth Hokage, or the fifth Hokage, sorry. Yeah, he looks at the fifth Hokage, and he says, does she know who she's talking to? As he says, no. He says, I don't think so, Naruto. As he says, alright, let me introduce myself. My name, Naruto Namikaze Now he says Naruto he says Naruto Namikaze Uzumaki. She says Naruto. She says Minato-san. She says yeah, that's me. She she says you also the he says hero of the leaf, savior of the hidden mist village, has a bridge named after himself. Saved pretty much a goddess. Stopped the village from being destroyed 4 times. As she says, you know what, kid? As he looks at the sixth Hokage, as he looks at the fifth Hokage. He says, "Oh, I like you. Just give us some time. Let me be Hokage for a year or two." As time skip 2 years. As Naruto, it's like 2 years and a couple months. Naruto runs in and she says, "Hey, Hokage, let me be Hokage now. It's been over 2 years." As she says, all right." As she calls a meeting. She calls a meeting with the higher ups. As she says, "We're not the higher ups," but she calls a meeting with the whole village. Sorry, damn. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That verb. I'm sorry. She calls a meeting with the whole village. As she says, she says, she says basically, she says, "I would like to elect the new Hokage." As everyone says, the new Hokage. Who's the new Hokage? As we hear chatting in the crowd, as the higher ups can do anything about this. This is the Hokage's choice and only the Hokage's choice. He says, the Hokage says, Tsunade says, I would like to elect Naruto Namikaze. He says, she says, I would like to elect Naruto Namikaze Uzumaki to be the seventh Hokage. As Naruto walks up shirtless and just with his pants on. That's his casual attire. As he says, "Hey, listen up. I'm the new Hokage around here. You're gonna be listening to everything I say." He says, "Everything that I say around here goes." As he says, "We shouldn't have any trouble in this village, so try to live as peaceful as possible." As he looks at Sasuke and he says, "Sasuke, remember," and try to build your clan back up. And I'm sorry for talking about it when we were young. As he looks at Sakura and he says, "Sakura, find someone else." He points at her and says, "Find someone else to love. I can't be your lover anymore. I have paperwork to focus on." As right Tsunade. As she says, "Well, yeah, there's gonna be a lot of paperwork." As he says, and also, as the Hokage and the leader of he says, as the Hokage and the savior of this village. As he points at Danzo, he says, "I hereby banish you from this." He says, "I hereby sentence you from execution, from stealing Sharingans from Uchihas and killing them, and killing and killing Shishu Uchiha." And he says, and Sasuke, and he says, and trying to get Itachi, and he says, and telling Itachi that he has to kill his own clan, even though he didn't want to, because you said they were out of hand or something. As he says, and someone helped him, but I don't know who. As he says, "But you, Danzo, you're sentenced to death immediately." As he says, "And I'll be taking that honor." As a Chidori, or not a Chidori, sorry. He orders a Vermilion, or where is it? Where is it? This. He puts the Rasengan like this as he plunged it in his heart. As he plunged it in his heart, he says, Danzo groaned as he says, "My time has come." As he releases his bandages on his arm, as Naruto pushes the Rasengan deeper, he says, "You can't fight back, you weakling." as everyone's cheering because they knew Danzo did this, but they didn't have enough power to stop it. As Sasuke starts crying, and he says, Sasuke, Sakura, how about you two start dating? As Sakura looks at Sasuke, and Sasuke looks at Sasuke blushes. As Sakura blushes, and says, in time, no, a little while later, they get together. But that's in the future. But right now we're in the present. Naruto says, Naruto says, Naruto says, he says, he says, he says, Naruto says, he says, them to make a great couple. As Sasuke, yeah, he says them two will make a great couple. As he says, without further ado, enjoy your new Hokage. As time skip. Now this is where the what if comes in. What if Naruto was a sex Hokage? Well, I don't know what to call it. But yeah, what if Naruto was a... Yeah. I'm just gonna say sex Hokage. Yeah, that's his own fault. What if Naruto was a sex Hokage / what if all the females that I want were attracted to him? Yeah, this is what that would have come. This is where the would have come in. As he says, I'm enjoying doing this. What if I enjoy this? What if it just? I don't know why I just do. I enjoy this one. As Naruto says, Naruto says, he says, as he looks at he looks at he goes into his office and he says, now, as he's still shirtless, as he says, now, I need my mom in here. As his mom walks in a couple minutes later, as she says, mom, guess who's Hokage? As she says, you, Naruto. As he says, I don't know, you. As he says, you know it. As yeah, as he says, he says, so do you think I'm gonna be a good Hokage? As he says, definitely. She says, definitely. As he says, thanks, mom. As we time skip Naruto a week and being Hokage. And Naruto, he says, actually, I have something for this. Tsunade walked in as I want to give him a sex though, just I want to give him. It's so bad. And I'm gonna give him a sex though. Actually, no. I'm gonna say that his Uzumaki chains can they send out not an aura, but they send out like a scent where if they smell it, then they become his for life. And they just follow everything he say, or basically they become his cum sleeve. So yeah, scratch. Alright, Naruto says as he releases Uzumaki chains, as the scent comes out. He knew about this, he just never used it. As he sees today's perfect time. As Tsunade starts getting wet. 18 plusing. Hey, this what if it's gonna be 18 plus sexual. So yeah. Naruto says, Naruto says, he says, Tsunade. She says, yes, Naruto. And she said in a seductive tone. I'm not gonna say that shit because, no gay shit around this bitch. So, yeah. And if I do say some gay shit, no homo about that shit. No homo about, no homo, no, no homo, just no homo, no. She says, no homo. She says, Naruto, what is it? She says, come here. As she walks towards him. As she says, I want you to get under the desk and suck my cock. As she says, yes. As she gets under the desk and starts sucking Naruto. As he hears someone walking. As he says, hurry up. As the desk, like, you can't see under it. You have to go on the other side to actually see under it. Where Naruto's sitting, you have to go over there to see under it. As he says, damn, she's sucking. As he says, who is it? Come in. I hear your footsteps. As he says, oh, it's you. As she says, yeah. She says, well, what is it, Sakura? As she says, me and Sasuke, he says, me and Sasuke, we're getting married. And he says, and what? It's just, and now I'm pregnant. As Naruto, he like, seriously? As he grunts. As she says, are you okay? As he says, yeah, everything is fine. As she says, okay, that's all I wanted to tell you, Hokage. As he chuckles and says, just call me Naruto. As she says, okay, Hokage. As he says, Sakura. As she leaves. As he says, damn it, Tsunade. As she says, Naruto says, you act like you never sucked a dick before. Or he says you haven't, he says you act like you haven't sucked a dick in such a long time. As she says, I haven't. As Naruto, he says, I'm coming. As he comes inside of her mouth. As Naruto says, let's take this a step further. As he sets her on the table. First he clears off his desk and locks the door. As he puts do not disturb. As he comes back inside the room, as he says, now, as he says, I want you to take off your pants, but leave your robe on. As she said, okay. As she takes off her tights, and Naruto throws them on the ground. As he says, now, that's sexy. As he orders her to get up, and he says, what is it? What do you want me to do? As he says, go pick that up. As she sees a piece of paper. As he points at a piece of paper and orders Tsunade to pick it up. As Tsunade walks over there. As she bends over. And he says, as he punches his cock inside of her pussy. As she moans loud. As he says, he starts fucking her, basically. As Naruto is just going ham on fucking her. As he says, basically Naruto says, hold on, I'll be back. Yeah, but basically Naruto's fucking her. As he says, damn, you're squeezing me so tight. It's ridiculous. As she says, please, come inside. As, no. He says, I'm gonna come inside you. As she says, please. He says, fill my pussy up with your hot steamy cum. As Naruto laughs or chuckles. And he basically comes inside of her after a couple minutes of beating her pussy up. After that, Naruto says, he says that he basically says that he says, good, now get the hell out of my office, I'll fuck you later. Actually, as a matter of fact, he says, come to the Uzumaki compound at 12. Go to the back. He says, go to the back window. She says, yes, Hokage. She says, don't call me Hokage, call me Daddy. She says, yes, Daddy. I'll come to the Hokage compound. This bitch is hot. As Naruto says, good. He says, from now on, you'll be my slut. He says, from now on, you'll be my slut / come sleeve. As Naruto is walking, he's walking back to his crib. It's nighttime. Oh my God! I'm sorry. I'm sorry, my spoon dropped. But as Naruto,
so he took 2 headshots.
As Naruto starts as Naruto gets to his compound, it's 11:15. As he says, I need to get prepared. As Tsunade, he sees that Tsunade arrived a little bit.
No idea how you didn't see me.
A little bit earlier.
So we've got 60 minutes or less, boys.
As basically she comes as she knocks on the window.
I'm just gonna leave that body there. I'm gonna be honest, I don't know if we probably should have hit it, but I don't think it's gonna hurt us too bad if they find it. Might hurt our mission score a little bit, but
as she says,
it's not worth the risk of potentially
he says Tsunade, you came later or earlier than I told you to. And she says, I couldn't. He says, I couldn't wait she says, I couldn't wait for you to fill me up with that hot steamy cum.
Well, we do not have enemies tanked in this area, I don't think.
As Naruto laughs and he says, you slut.
We're kind of in a mission area here. We got a fast travel point. All right.
She blushes.
I'm hoping this is our overlook that we were wanting.
And Naruto says, that
homeboy was just having a little cookout over here, grabbing himself a
Naruto says that basically, he says,
White Claw or something.
He says, I'm gonna fuck her. Good. As he says, hopefully mom doesn't walk in. As he locks his door. As he locks his door.
Sniping the port, dude. That's where their meeting is all the way across over here. That's incredible.
As he's you know, fucking her.
Should probably go binoc mode to try to figure out the distance.
He's fucking her, and she says she starts moaning loudly and like saying, like, you know, sexual things, like fuck me, harder, faster. But after everything, she's like, after she says harder, she says daddy, no homo. She says daddy after that.
So he's having a deal with somebody. Do we want to wait?
As as they as she's fucking basically as she basically getting her ass pounded.
I don't know. We have our auto turret. We don't.
Yeah.
Okay.
As he basically fucking her. Kushina says, "What's that noise?" As she walks in Naruto's room and hears moans, and he says, "Oh, she's having sex." As
I don't want to let him get in the buildings though. When he was walking directly at us, that would have been an easy shot. I'm trying so hard to be patient, man, but he's going to go in this building and we're going to lose him. We haven't had a good opportunity. We could have taken a walking shot, but I don't think that's what it wants you to do. I'm assuming something's going to come up here.
she says, basically, she says, "I'll just leave him be. He's like 20-something years old now." As
Yep, that's it. All right, 1,081 meters. Here we go. I'm going to zoom all the way in. Let's set
as
this
she says,
to 1,100.
basically, she says,
the guard next to it first, right through his earpiece.
she basically says that basically, she basically says that she basically says that
We're gonna get a double.
she says that
No, we missed the. Shoot! No!
she basically says that she tells Naruto to fuck her harder. As
We got him. Okay.
she tells Naruto to fuck her harder.
Up to me, man. Oh my goodness, just rip his intestines out.
Kushina
All right. Time to go.
Kushina goes and she starts fingering. She starts fingering herself.
We can probably snipe him back, but let's just
She starts fingering herself twice to Naruto and Tsunade fucking.
He ain't got no shot. Just go.
As we time skips to
Dude,
her.
the collab would have been sick. I'm kind of upset. I feel like I lined that up pretty good. Could have played it a bit safer, I guess. Instead of aiming for the head, could have gone for like, a neck, chest shot, something like that.
They after they get done after Naruto gets done fucking after Naruto gets done fucking Tsunade,
is that in response to our little shit?
basically he tells her to leave and he says he might fuck her tomorrow. As she says, "Okay, Daddy," as she tries to get up and leave and she can't. As Naruto says, he says, "Damn it, looks like you're gonna have to stay here tonight."
Interrogate him, but didn't have any information for us.
As she says, "Really?" As she says, he says, yeah. As she puts her clothes back on.
Got more locations, baby. Right over there.
As she puts her clothes back on, Naruto says, "Who said you could put those back on?" As he rips her clothes off.
Upon entering a collectible area,
He rips her robe off. As
how much do I really care about those? Not really. So it looks like we're gonna want to push through this village here, go up through here, and then maybe get to our next target zone.
As he starts fucking Tsunade again, Kushina, she like the moans stopped. The moans had stopped. But as the moan stops, she heard him again. So yeah. But Naruto, he
just gonna run, man. It's fine.
Naruto, he as he's fucking Tsunade. Sorry for that if y'all heard that. As Naruto's fucking Tsunade,
I'll grab it if we have the opportunity.
As Naruto's basically fucking Tsunade. She says, or he says,
Oh, it's this book right here. Okay.
she says,
Notebook. Ooh, see, like this might actually help us though. If it
she says, like,
where
fuck
they're
me,
gonna
daddy,
be,
daddy. As he sends some
of
shadow
their,
clone, puts,
habits,
and
where
he,
they like to go, that kind of thing.
and they all
Might actually
gangbang
be
Tsunade.
something useful.
As
Bar
Tsunade
actually
is
looks pretty good,
basically
though.
filled with cum.
Just trying to
Like,
get
if
around
she's like
this,
filled with cum. As Naruto, he
around
says,
this
oh
village
shit.
without causing any issues. So the cool thing
As he
is
finally
every
goes
mission's like
soft.
sandbox style. Like there's not a specific order you have to go
As
through.
he
You
says,
just hit whatever objective you want to
he
get
says,
done. Which is,
he says,
kind of nice.
he says,
Kind
oh
of
shit. I went
Chilling on the
soft.
dock out
As he
here.
says, finally, man, I was getting tired. As he looks at Tsunade and
It's about
says,
to be his last day though. Let me get F in the chat from our boy.
too bad.
I don't understand how you get out of it.
He says, well, too bad for you, Tsunade. Yeah, he says, I can't dominate your pussy anymore. As she says, what, why?
I definitely remember
With,
this game being kind of buggy. The original one too.
with like,
sit here and tread water while we wait for him to go away. Me too, man.
She says it with like a sadistic moaning.
Alright, he's leaving. We gotta find a spot
With a sadistic moaning
over here on the ground.
voice.
We are an elite super soldier with the ability to not pull ourselves up.
As she says, as Naruto says, well, I got soft. I come to you too many times. As she says, how many times did you come inside of me?
Coming in some sort of a back way.
As he says, I lost count. But
Really
he says over 8 times. He says over. I did over 10 times though. As she says, Tsunade says, I want more. As he says, I told you I can't. I soft. As he says, let's just go to sleep and we'll finish some other time.
We heading to one. Yep. We're going exactly to where we want to be.
As she says, okay. She says, okay, Naruto. As she kisses him, good night. I mean, as he kisses her, and he gropes. He basically gropes her ass and tits while he's sleeping.
Tell me where your boys are at.
Oh, no. He grips her ass and he grips basically.
That way. I think you're lying to me.
He basically grips her ass.
I wanted to know about these guys.
And he grips her titties as he's sleeping.
Make sure nobody was up in the rock behind us. Nobody's back
As we time skip to the day, as the next. Oh wow.
This is the.
Whew. We time skip to where Naruto is. I mean, not y'all know what I mean.
So
we time skip to the next day.
We can go stealth. We can go through here and not cause a ruckus and not
as
shoot a bunch of people. And
he tells Tsunade to go back. He tells Tsunade to go back home.
But we can also,
as she says, but I don't wanna. I want you to fill me up with your hot steamy cum. As he grips her ass and says, what did I just say? He says, what did I just say? As she says, go back home. As he says, listen to your daddy and go.
That's just brutal, dude.
As she says, oh, okay. As she walks off.
We can go to the left or to the right. It looks like both directions are going to be towards our objectives. My vote is to take all these guys out.
She basically goes and she goes and says,
I'm not sure what you were digging up out here, bro, but I'm sure it
she
was
goes and she says that
collectible somewhere around here. Is this it? Camouflage, desert
she
camo?
basically
Okay.
says that she leaves
Go right way left.
as
Looks
she
like there's more enemies
says
over this way. Let's
as
go
she's
to the
about to
hard
hop
part
out the
first,
window.
and
She
then we're
says,
gonna
"Well,
go
before
back.
I leave, can I suck?" As he says, "Fine, fine." As she says, "Get on your knees." As she says, so aggressive, and
This guy out.
as she
Somebody with
says,
supplies.
as he says, he says he thinks about fucking her again and going on to another session with her. As she says, no, I can't. Have to get to Hokage work.
But I'm
As
assuming you would
basically,
have grabbed those when
she
you
gives him a
were
blowjob. He comes at her in her mouth and then he leaves.
Oh, you can grab all that.
And then she leaves. As she leaves,
Some guys go down in one hit. I'm sure it's kind of distance based and stuff, but
as she leaves,
I'm not very confident in this pistol. I definitely think it's going to be something I'm going to want to upgrade early on.
Naruto heads to his
This shot right here, I'm a little bit nervous
Hokage,
to take because I don't think he's going to go down in one.
to the
And a
Hokage
follow-up
building.
shot could get ugly. You never know.
As Tsunade, not Tsunade, sorry. Oh, I dropped my ice cream. Oh my god. As Tsunade, picks up, that's a fucking bummer. Tsunade picks up, as he gets to the Hokage mansion, as he gets to the Hokage mansion,
Supplies, I just realized that might be our ammo and stuff.
he says, or not the mansion, but the building. He gets to doing paperwork as he sees his mother walking.
Good deal.
As he says,
Piercing bullets, poison gas, or explosives to be able to take out heavies.
he says,
Okay, so if we can take out, I'm just going to tag everything here. If we can take out the Ginnies, that's going to get one of our objectives done.
basically, he says, "What is it, mother?"
And it might get our
She said, last night, you and Sue, he says, you and someone were, as he says, you heard that, Mom? As she says, yeah, you were pretty loud. As he bows and he says, "I'm so sorry. That was so disrespectful of me." As he says, "I'll take you out for dinner to apologize, okay?" As she says, "Okay, Naruto, you don't have to."
This side's going to be a bit easier, I think. So let's start working on these guys. 946 meters. All right. Well, let's get this thing set up. 950.
As she starts
900. So it's going to be right on this line. Gonna go ahead and take him out. God.
basically she
Excuse me?
basically she basically says, "No, Naruto, you don't have to." As he says, "I know, but I want to." As she says,
Shoot, I messed up. I went over his head again. Gonna take him down as well. Then we're gonna be able to get the second antenna. Hopefully, it's gonna bring our boy outside.
as she says,
his head didn't explode, so that's concerning.
as she says, basically, as she says, he says, as he says, "I know, but I want to." And
Antenna's at 927. We're currently set up for 9, so it shouldn't be that high, should it?
yeah,
Sometimes I feel like the dot's a little bit off, and it makes you think about it.
yeah, that's what happens. Time skip to where Naruto gets done with his paperwork. He says, as he gets home and throws on some shoes. As he throws on some shoes, he says,
I'm gonna make sure we were I'm gonna wait to start attacking the other ones because I don't want to raise the alarm.
He says,
I'm hoping he's gonna end up coming outside.
He says,
There's no guarantee.
he says, he says, mother, are you ready? As she says, mother, I see her moans from her room. As she says, the fuck? As he goes, he barges in her room to see her basically playing with herself, saying his name and holding one of his pictures. As Naruto, Naruto says, what the hell? As he says, as she looks up, and she says, Naruto? He says, when did you, as she says, get out, get out. As Naruto says,
take his guard out.
As Naruto says, you know, basically, Naruto basically says that
he's not gonna backtrack to his guard. Oh no, he's just chilling.
Naruto basically says that he basically says that he walks out his mom's room and she says, what the hell? He says, I didn't know she felt that way. As she walks out the room like an hour later.
Now we've got this guy looking at this. Collateral, there's the collateral we were looking for. That's going to raise the blinds. He's 960 meters. I'm going to back it down. You want up or down?
Yeah. She walks out the room like an hour later. And Naruto says, Naruto says, I can't believe my mother. As she's walking out the room, as she's looking fine as hell. I ain't gonna front with y'all. She looking gorgeous. When I drop a TikTok this morning, he like, gorgeous! I can't lie. It's my bro, though. It's my bro. But yeah, I can't lie either. He like dry wave. Let me focus on the wave. But yeah, basically, she's basically looking gorgeous. And as she she says, ooh. Ooh, sorry for the burps. Naruto says,
Get out of there. Okay. We're good.
Naruto says,
We're gonna have to go back to the exfil. We're gonna get
you know,
the info and then
he says, in his head, he says, damn, she looks so fucky. I says, no, that's my mother. As she says, Naruto, sorry about what you saw in the room. It was just, as he says, just come on. As he scratches his head.
So you can go to exfil in the middle of the mission to be able to get your rewards and stuff, but obviously I don't care that much about that currently. The main thing that I want to do is get up to our final objective, which is going to be up here. Let's go and get our silence.
Basically, they walk out of the house as she's
So you can sit here, establish your connection, upload the database, the info, the whatever else.
basically,
It should keep us here. Yeah, you can continue.
she says,
Will do. So
she says,
we've taken 2 guys out. We sabotaged the
she says, Naruto, about what you saw. As he says, Mom, again, it's fine.
We are running out of ammo. We've got 5 sniper bullets left.
As she says, no, it's not fine. You're my son. And as he says, yeah. Just come on. Remember, I promised you that I would take you out to eat. And she says, yeah, I remember. As he says, this time I'm choosing. As, no. He says, do you want to go back where you went last time? Or she says, I want to try something new. As she says, what do you want to try? As she grabs his hand and runs back into the house. As he says, what the? And she says, he says, what do you want to try? As she says, sit down. I want to try something. As he says, he sits down. As, hey, don't judge me for this, bro. Like, don't judge me for this around what I'm about to do. Just don't judge me. Naruto says, Naruto lays down, or he sits on the couch, where Kushina, he says, I'll be back. As she comes back, in the outfit on the left outfit on the left. She comes back with that on, and her hair is long like that. And basically Naruto, he says, don't do it. As he says, Naruto, no. As his mom gets on her knees, and basically, so I'll give that Guagua 3000. Don't judge me for this. Bro, don't judge me for this, bro. She starts giving him that Guagua 3000. As Naruto comes in her mouth. As she, hey, again, do not judge me for this. As she says, as basically, she says, I know what I'm gonna name this. What if? Nah, that's a bad name. I'll figure a name out eventually. He says, Naruto says, Mom, you can't. As he eventually comes to her mouth. As she sucks, she thinks she gets every little drop. As she says, Naruto, I've been holding myself back she says, for so many years. I can't anymore. As she starts sucking him again. As he says again. As he groans. As she says, or as she nuts in her mouth. What did I say? Oh, yeah, okay. He nuts in her mouth, and basically, after he nuts in her mouth, he says, I can't hold myself back. I'm sorry, Dad. As he nuts in her mouth again, like he nuts in her mouth the first time, then she sucked him down again. And as he pins Kushina on the wall. As she says, Naruto, as he starts kissing her. Wait a minute. I'm not even gonna say what I think. I'm not even gonna say what I thought of. But yeah, basically, she says, as they fall into a kiss, as he puts her legs up, and he's holding her, like basically they're kissing, and her legs are wrapped around him, and he's holding her ass. As he says, as his cock is still out, as he says sorry. He says sorry for this. As he plunges his cock in her pussy. As she moans loudly. As she starts screaming Naruto's name. Hey, no gay shit when I do this. Like, no gay shit, my nigga. I better hear no gay shit in the comments. I'm dead ass. Naruto says, Kushina says, Kushina says, Naruto. Hey, no gay shit, bro. No gay shit, bro. No gay shit. Zero gay shit, my nigga. As he he says, God, it's so wet, and he says it's so wet and tight. As he as she starts screaming his name again, Naruto, with moans. As he comes inside of her, as she limps on his she limps as she's still around him. Her legs are still wrapped around him. As she says, I just come inside my own mom. And he says, but shit, pussy's good. As she falls off of Naruto onto the couch. As she says, sorry, Naruto. As she says, could you hand me a blanket? I think I'm gonna go to bed. As he says, sure. As he says, matter of fact, how about you sleep with me? As she says, are you sure? As he says, hell yeah, come on. As he grabs her hand and they body flicker. As he body flickers them, both of them to his room. He closes the door. And she says, you don't have to close the door, nobody else is with us. As she says, I know, it's just kind of an instinct. And she says, as she lays down. And as she lays down, Naruto says, in his head, he says, I'm sorry. He says, no, the fuck he doesn't. But in his head, he says, gosh, you were so wet and tight. Oh, she's better than Tsunade. Shit. As he sees, I ain't gonna lie, she got the fatty. She got no fatty, bro. Can't lie. She does have the fatty in this. And, yeah, she has the fatty in this one. As Kushina says, Kushina says, Naruto, what is that poking me? As she backs her ass up even more. As she says, cuddle me, Naruto. As Naruto, he basically, he puts his hand where her pussy is, and he pushes her back onto his cock. As she says, hey, no homo, bro. I didn't even. And no homo. She says, as she does sophomore, and Naruto says, Naruto chuckles as he's taller than his mom. As she says, Naruto, you can move your hand now. As he says, no, I want to keep it here. After all, you're my toy. As she's about to turn around, Naruto says, no, just face that way. As she says, okay. As Naruto says, hey, mom. As she says, what is it? As she says, how long exactly have you been holding back to, have sex with me? As she says, since you were 12. As Naruto says, damn. As he chuckles. As she says, Naruto, that isn't funny. You don't understand how lonely and how much pleasure I wasn't getting with no man around the house. As he says, I know, mom, I know. As he says, I know. And then he says, and she scoots back more and more on his cock. As she says, you really want more, don't you? as he started rubbing her ass, and she says Naruto, come chill out, trying to go to sleep. As Naruto says okay, as he whips his cock out, as she says she backs up more, as Naruto says, damn it, he says you're so close, and she says I can move if you want, as she starts scooting up, as Naruto pulls her back down and says I never said you had to, as he takes off her pants and he says he says skin to skin, this is nice contact, as he starts basically rubbing, he starts basically jerking off without her knowing, as he nuts on the floor. And that bitch was clean. Fuck. Alright, as Naruto says, Naruto basically says that he says shit. He says shit. My mom is actually pretty fucking fine. As she says, and she has a fat ass. As he says, I can't take it anymore. As he whispers in her ear, he says, let's fuck. As she says, but Naruto, she turns around and says, finally, I've been waiting for you to say that. As she takes, as, never mind. As Naruto, he flips her over on her stomach and makes her do her ass up in the air. As he gets his cock and he plunges it in her pussy. As she screams and moans. As she hasn't felt this. Like she barely feels this. As Naruto says, shit. He says, mom. As she says, yes. As he says, it feels weird calling you mom after we fucked. As he says, so I'm gonna call you. He says, so I'm gonna give you a different name. And she says, what is it? What's gonna be? He says, then what are you gonna call me? And she says, he looks at her and says, I don't know, but just know you're my cum sleeve. As she says, okay, I don't mind being your cum sleeve. As she says, I don't mind being your cum sleeve. And he says, I know you don't, because if you weren't, I was gonna force you. As she says, Naruto, so naughty. As he chuckles, as he's still fucking her. And she's still moaning. As he says, alright, enough of these soft strokes. As he pounds her full force, as she opens her eyes get widened, as she says, shit, she says, shit, he's going harder than the first time, and this time combined, and she says, she comes, as Naruto says, Naruto says, he says, Naruto basically says that he says shit. As he says your pussy's too wet, ma. He says your pussy's too wet, come sleep. As he comes inside of her. As he starts going back. As she says, you're not gonna pull out. As he says, fuck no. As he puts her in a different position. And right now, he's on top of her, looking down at her. As he starts fucking her. As he moves her legs up. As he says, as she says, she says, she screams his name, Naruto, Naruto, no homo, no get shit, no get shit. And with a couple, with some moans, loud moans, to it too. As she says, Naruto, Naruto, hey, wait, no get shit when I say this. She says, Naruto, Naruto, Naruto. But she says louder, no get shit. As he whatchamacallit, as he comes inside of her, and she comes at the same time. As he says, you come again. As he pulls out to reveal his basically his cock with cum still on it. As she says, I'm gonna go wash this off. As she says, no. Oh, I'll take care of it. As basically Naruto, basically Kushina, took her ass in the air as she's sucking Naruto. As Naruto says, shit, I can't do this anymore. I wanna fuck her raw. Or, actually, yeah. They're using a condom. Yeah. As Naruto says, I wanna fuck her raw. But she's my mother. As he says, fuck it. As he says, mother, let's do it raw. As she says, raw? You mean with no condom? As he says, yeah, I don't care about a condom anymore. He says, you've been wanting to fuck me since I was 12. Let's get it on. Why would you want? He says, you probably didn't want to use a condom back then. Why are you trying to use one now? As she says, or not, as he says, no. He says, please, mother. As she says, oh, okay. At least just for this. He says, just this one time. As he says, thank you. As he says, and just to let you know, I'm gonna go harder than before, since I don't have a condom. He says, since I don't have a condom on, and you're letting me come inside you, right? As she says, yeah, I guess. As he says, nice. Now I don't have to worry about anything. As he summons shadow clones to he summons a shadow clone as he starts sucking that shadow clone off. And she says, what's the shadow clone for? As he says, suck it. And she says, fuck it. As she says, suck it. Fuck it. Fuck the shadow clone. Well, I'm gonna be fucking you. Hey, not Naruto basically says, he says, and she starts sucking the shadow clone, like, passionately. As Naruto, he puts the tip in, as he starts, he acts like he's gonna, he says, slowly, okay? As she says, oh, okay. As he plunges his cock inside of her, and she moans loudly. As she says, he starts groping her titties while he's fucking her at the same time as he's pinching her nipples. And as he's pinching her nipples. I knew it was over 2 hours. I knew it. As she's pinching her nipples. Naruto says, this is gonna be a large gigabyte video. Like, let's move 3 to 4 or 5 gigabytes. maybe 5 or 6. I don't know, cause 1 hour and like 30 minutes. It's like 2 gigabytes. With, hey, let's get back into this. Naruto, he comes in. Actually, not yet. As the shadow clone comes inside of her mouth, as he says, he starts. The shadow clone disappears. As she says, Naruto, slow down. As he says, fuck that. As he speeds up. As she says, Naruto. As he comes inside of her. No gay shit, what I just said. As he comes inside of her. As her feet, like basically, she like, and her whole body drops. As he removes it. As cum starts coming out of her pussy. As she says, that felt so good, bareback. Or he said, that felt so good with no raw, no condom. As he says, let's do it like that from now on. As she says, okay. As he says tomorrow, come to my office. You're gonna be sucked. He says later on today, come to my office. You're gonna give me a blowjob. As she says, okay, master. As he says, master, I like that. As he says, now give me a blowjob now. As she again took her ass up in the air and starts playing. She starts fingering. She sees spasm coming out of Naruto. As he says, spasm already. As she puts the whole thing. She like gags the whole thing in her mouth. As Naruto says, damn. As he's basically sucked dry from Kushina. As he says, and he says, damn, how were you with dad? As she says, I wasn't like this. You're just way more handsome than him. As she jumps on top of him and says, let's go to sleep. As Naruto says, yeah, you're right. I have work in the morning. As she says, okay. As he starts playing with her hair, and she says, her hair. So he's like, God, mom, your hair's soft. And she says, thanks. I put conditioner in. There's some soft. I don't know. I don't know girl products. Just says put some conditioner in it. I think that's what makes your hair soft. Or hair softener. Yeah. He says I put hair softener in it. Yeah. There we go. As he says, wow. As he puts his hand on her head, and he pulls her closer into his chest. As he says, let's sleep like this. As her legs are wrapped around him. As he has no shirt on. Naruto never has a shirt on. For some reason. Do I know why? Yeah. Like here? No. But Naruto says, he says, hey, he says, hey, I can feel you breathing on me. As she says, do you want to back up? As he says, no. As he says, I like it. He says, I like it. And she says, she blushes and says, okay. As Naruto says, I know it's weird, but I love you. And she says, I love you too, Naruto. As she says, I love you more than just a mother. I love you like a wife. As Naruto says, Kushina says, me too. As she kisses Naruto, and they kiss passionately. As Naruto says, I'm horny again. Let's fuck. And I'm flying. I'm not gonna do repeated sex scenes. Maybe I will. Maybe I won't. But yeah, Naruto basically says that he says actually no. He says mother. And she says yes, Naruto. As he says, I want to get you pregnant. And she says, what? And he says, I'm gonna try to get you pregnant. That means you won't have to fuck. You won't have to fuck a lot. As she says, okay. I don't have a problem with that. As basically, time skip till later on that day. Naruto's in his office as he hears a knock. As he says, come in. As he says, oh, it's question mark, question mark, question mark. You'll find out next episode of who that is. 2 hours, 35 minutes.